We're here, guys. Episode 3 of the Forge Collective podcast. Shout out to y'all for tuning in. Thank you to everyone who saw episode 1 and gave me a bunch of feedback, reposted it. I felt the love definitely on that one, so shout out to y'all.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yo, bro, I don't know what camera to look at here, bro.
You're looking at yours, the
right
black
here?
one, yep.
Okay.
The white one is, I'm up here.
I see you, familia.
Yeah.
My dude right here is
We're
he's
leveling up the
professional.
setup.
Huh?
We're leveling up the setup.
Bro, I don't know about leveling up. I feel like we're in a Hollywood, movie up in here. I love it. It looks legit. Anyhow, bro, we launched. It looks good. You're killing it, my dude. I love that shit. It looks really good.
Thank you.
It looks really good.
I appreciate that.
I'm impressed. And I have to say, you're doing all the hard work, bro.
You just come here, sit down.
I just sit
and
down.
talk.
I grab me a little libation. Not all the time, but most of the time, we might have to start moving these recordings to Friday or something because,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Well, we could definitely do some Friday ones outside, cigar,
Sure.
whiskey.
For sure.
Set the vibe.
For sure. Man, so much going on. So many things to talk about. We want to make sure that we're bringing value.
Yep.
But at the same time, we are the value. We just talk what we got to talk about.
Yeah.
We just chop it up.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, with the topics that we, talk about kind of lean towards mindset, business, fitness. So I'm sure there's always a nugget to extract from it.
Absolutely.
You're a little more confident than me because I don't know. You have a lot of value to drop in nuggets. I got a few, but
come on, yo,
I can't speak like that yet.
Can I tell you? Let me just tell you guys something. Like I gotta share it because this shit's life changing for me. So I went. Remember I told you like a week and a half ago I went to that chiropractor, and old boy's like preliminary checkup on the body and stuff. I went in for a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
He did some X-rays on my ass, and then he's like, "Dude, you got two bulging discs in your lower back." And I'm like, all right, here we go. The money grabs in place. It's time to, go get surgery. But no, old boy said, you don't need surgery and all that, but we need to figure out a way to decompress that spine. And
Yeah.
I've actually stepped up and I've been doing the work. It's been 2.5, 3 weeks. Bro, my running and my biking is game changing right now.
It's feeling better.
Like, I feel like I'm 35 instead of, you don't need to know how old I am, but
well, speaking of age,
I feel
birthday's coming up tomorrow, so you're gonna this podcast is gonna be dated in that sense. But birthday is coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
You want to drop the age, or you gonna keep it a mystery? You gonna go with 35 or?
Bro, I don't give a. Listen,
So how old are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be 45.
45.
It's weird saying that.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I feel like I'm 35.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I feel like I'm 65.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm. It's what it is. It's just it's another day around. Is it around the sun? Or
around the sun. Another year around the sun.
Another year around the sun.
So with that being said, the theme of this episode is gonna be a bit more geared towards you.
Ay, Dios mío.
I'm gonna ask you a few questions, but it's gonna be like age things, wisdom things. So the first one that I had in mind was a very common question, but I want to see how you answer it. And it's gonna be, if you can talk to your, let's say, 18-year-old self.
Okay.
With the perspective you have now.
Okay.
What advice would you give them?
Oh, stop being a shithead.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to my 18-year-old self.
Yeah, to yourself specifically.
Yeah, but the sooner you stop being a shithead, the sooner you're going to get to see some of the beauty that life has to offer when you do things the right way, for sure. I would tell my 18-year-old self that you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to be all right. You're going to encounter some challenges in life.
Yeah.
You're going to come across some obstacles that are going to make you question who you are, what you are, and what your purpose is in this life. And you already have the head on your shoulders to look at that from a perspective of why, and you already know how to ask those questions. But continue to have faith that it's going to be all right, and that if you just put your head down and you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to be okay. I would also tell my 18-year-old self, stop giving a shit so much about what people think about you.
Yeah.
Chill out, bro. You cannot, you were born to be a natural people pleaser. You want to make people happy. You look for validation. You look for reasons to, feel comfortable in a room. Stop that shit. Like,
Yeah.
just stop it. And it's not because people are not worth it, and it's not because it's not worth making people feel good or worth gaining people's respect. It's more so because it is gone. I've taken it to the level, or up to this point in my life, I've taken it to the level where it has impacted the ability or my ability to be my most authentic self sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and to love myself fully.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely tell my 18-year-old self, don't spend the next 20 years of your life um, trying to make everybody else happy, trying to make people understand your decisions and the moves that you make and why you are the way that you are, because you're not going to get the response that you might think you're deserving of, or we're all walking different paths in this life, and I think that when you put your value, who you are as a person, if you allow even an ounce of that to the outside world to define that, that's not gonna be healthy for you. So I definitely tell my 18-year-old self, chill out with that shit.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's something a lot of people have to hear. Like, I know for myself, I try to say I care less about what people think. I can't say I don't care what people think, because that's a lie. You know what I mean? I feel like deep down everyone's gonna have that little bit where they worry about it in the back of their head. I definitely do it less.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could have got out of that stage definitely younger,
Mm-hmm.
I think I could have done a little bit more for sure.
No, absolutely. And I want, let me elaborate on that a little bit. It's not the same kind of attitude as that old saying goes, like, who gives a shit what people think or whatever that is. It's like, it has nothing to do with that. It has more to do with, when you spend that time and that energy caring so much about what everyone else thinks about you, you dilute yourself as an individual. You dilute yourself spiritually. You dilute yourself and your talents and your creativity, because you're validating everything that you do based on what everybody else's response is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is that incredibly unfair to you, but it's also unfair to them, because now they're getting a lesser version of you. And, I found that the time that I've been in this world, that the time that I've been alive in this world, that people evolve, and people will even change their mindsets about the things that you're doing or the things that you believe in or the things that you value, when they see how committed you are to it.
Yeah.
But initially, they only know what they know. They're only going to, if I was going to go do something crazy like move, I remember when I first moved to Miami when I was younger, and how that caused fear in my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she only knew what she knew. So for her, she just wants to take care of her son, and she's just like, you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to go there. So that's just an example, but it's like, you got to believe in yourself, and you have to lead with that level of energy, to be your most authentic self, so that you can truly find the people who are destined for you, and also so that you can be able to wake up every day and look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of what you see.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing, and I know you're gonna, every time people get this question, they're always like, no regrets, but any regrets you have that maybe you wish you would have done differently?
Hell yeah. I have a lot of regrets in life. I'm not going to be one to say I don't have regrets. I have a lot of regrets. I was known for being pretty stubborn when I was younger. And even to this day, I'm known for being stubborn. And, I've probably, in my years through life, I'm sure that I've hurt some people. I'm sure that I've made some mistakes, in my belief in things that I absolutely knew nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of, walked through life with the mindset that what I knew was fact, when in actuality, you just don't know what you don't know. And so some of my bigger regrets in life are, I think, not working on myself as an individual and self-development sooner, not accepting myself wholly earlier, sooner. Those are significant regrets. Some of the gangster shit I did when I was younger, and that kind of stupid stuff, that environment. because I'm an empathetic human being and because I have feelings, those some of those memories still stay with me.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about some of those decisions. So yeah, there's definitely always going to be some regrets. But I feel like I have worked tremendously hard to make the best of what I was given.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense.
And what more can I do at that point, you know?
Oh, for sure. I'm glad you actually gave an answer. A lot
Sure.
of people are like, no, I don't have any regrets because it led me to where I am now. Because you're not like a come up story because you're still on the grind. But
Yeah,
you know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Like you have made a lot of progress throughout
Yeah.
life and came a long way. So obviously what you did has worked and it's got you to where you are now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it's cool to see that you have some things that you think about. Obviously, how does that affect you on the day to day, or is it like, does it weigh on you, or is it something that you just acknowledge and brush past it, and then?
No, it doesn't weigh on me in that sense. Like I don't have anything major that I'm like, oh, every day I wake up, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish I wouldn't have done that. You know, there's just hindsight's 2020, you know, and when you get to look back and, you know, I'm only 45, so there's a lot of great things that I can do. And I'm grateful for my youth. I'm grateful for all the experiences I've had because they've made me the man that I am today. However, when you have an idea of what works now, you're like, damn it. If I'd have been sharpening the sword at 25, you know, if I'd have been making this power move, making that power move. And that's why I'm so passionate, honestly, about speaking my truth out loud because, bro, I want to be 60 and sit at a table with 10 of you dudes, like killing it.
Yeah.
And just being just a peace sign. Much respect, Charles. I appreciate what you shared. And now I've moved on to the next thing and I've got and so in that sense, then yeah, that's something that I'm passionate about. But in the sense of like day to day, no, I don't have any significant regrets. I think I wish I would have been a better dad. I wish, in the sense that I think I was a solid dad. I'd like to think that I have a great relationship with both of my girls. I've always had a great relationship with them. I've done the best that I could do, but the best that I could do wasn't good enough. And I choose not to accept the excuse that it was because I didn't have the knowledge, the maturity, or the upbringing to be able. They're the only two girls that I have, so I wish I had just been. I wish it would have. I wish that I would have had the abilities that I have today, so that I could have given them the type of upbringing that I would be able to with the knowledge that I have right now.
Yeah, but that's tough. That's impossible. You know what I mean?
I'm just telling you. Yeah. No,
that's always a debate of like, because I'm a firm believer that your parents do the best they can in that moment. Like that's the best. Nope. I mean, obviously there's some parents that are like, neglect their kids or whatever, but most parent who is in someone's life, they're doing the best that they can day to day with the situation they have. You know what I mean? So like when we look back at it, we think, oh yeah, they could have done better, but could they really have? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But let me give you some insight into why I say that as something that I think about on a daily basis. I say it because it lends me perspective into the relationships that I actively have right now and what I may or may not know. And so it makes me remind myself that, hey, when you were raising your girls and you thought that you gave everything that you had, and you actually did give everything that you had, but you didn't know what you didn't know. Yeah. So you didn't give them the best that you could have possibly given them had you known what you needed to know. Yeah. Well, I lend that into my world today. So in the sense that I may not, we may not be kicking it doing this for 20 years, but while we're doing it, what do I not know right now that can heighten the level of our relationship, that can heighten the level of the podcast, heighten the level of our interactions. So it's just being mindful about, we have to know that every interaction you have with someone that you love and you care about, or with people that you are willing to give your time to, you should be present with that person and in that situation, and you should do the best that you can to value that at the highest level. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where my brain is, and that's why I like to carry that little bit of a regret with me.
It helps you, like, thinking of it helps you with the current relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can see why that's beneficial for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm a person. This question is like I ask it because I know you're more. How do I say it? Like you have goals and plans, and you kind of do your vision board and stuff like that. And I do the same thing, but I try not to think too far out because you never know. Anything can happen in a year, and then could change the trajectory. But like you're 45. What does 55 look like? The next 10 years. What's your goal? What's your plans? You know what I mean? Interested to see.
My number one priority in life right now at this point, even for the next 10 years, is self-actualization, self-acceptance. I don't know about you guys, but it's something that's always been important to me. Because again, it's not relevant to me about what the outside world is thinking about me. It matters on how I'm coming outside. So that's continuing to focus my energy on that. Truth be told, I'm going to say it out loud. I think I want to write a book someday.
Okay. I can see you doing that
Yeah,
for sure.
I think I want to write a book someday. I think I want to tell my story. That's yet to be determined whether it's a path that I want to go down or not, but that's something that's really important to me. There's a lot of big goals that I've got running, triathlon, big time, family goals that I have with our grandkids, with our daughters. But most importantly, I want to continue to grow, and I want to continue to help other people grow through constant development, but also being willing to take the challenges that scare us. Yeah. And I'm exhausted doing it, but at the same time,
putting yourself out there like this.
Good Lord, it's exhausting. Listen, real talk, it's exhausting, but at the same time, it is fucking amazing, bro, because it's how we grow.
No, for sure. Like today, I had one of those days where I was recording all day. I did a challenge. Shout out to my boy Jonas, who he created that Control the NPC, and I like took a little, a try at it.
Yeah.
And even in the morning too, I woke up, I ran, I recorded content, but like I was disconnected for a while, especially like after moving here, just because of the time it takes. A lot of people don't see the work that goes behind the scenes of doing those things. Like I had a video of there was, at the time now it's like 2 videos old, but it was me running in the treadmill downstairs, getting a workout in. That video, literally, like my plan was, all right, go downstairs, get a workout in, but let me just put the camera, set it up, and get some content. So just so you can get a perspective of how much work it takes, I had to move the camera every so often. So I wasn't really able to even get the workout in because I would run for a little bit, move the camera, change the position, mess with the lighting, the tripod, run again, move it again, then take it, do the intro, do the outro. By the time I did everything, it was like 45 minutes. And then I was like, I'm not even going to run. Like, this is like, I'm tired. Like, and I'm like, nah, I got to do it.
Absolutely.
So then so my regular run would have took me like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but that just went to content. Then I went, got the workout in, and then after that is when I really recorded the outro. You know what I mean? But just that, like that process, especially when I first started doing it, I realized how much it goes into it, how much effort goes behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people see, that's cool content. They just recorded themselves. It's easy, but it's a lot of work, and also to just stay creative and doing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I have a newfound respect for what is content creation for sure. And the truth be told, at least, for me, there's sometimes in my brain that I get these snippets of like, you know what? Fuck all that. Like, I don't want to be creating content every 2 seconds like that because I didn't grow up with it, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of people in my age demographic that are like, well, first and foremost, I think it's the way the world's going. I don't think there's a way around that. I think it's just the way things are. Yeah. But second of all, I got much respect for. I watch you do do the work. I watch you sitting there, and I watch you, editing and doing all of that.
Yeah, I didn't even get to that part.
That's no, for sure. But I want to emphasize something to you that I think is really important. Is that I think of course you've got to put food on the table, but ultimately. It's obvious to me that you have a passion for it. It's obvious for me that I want to make sure that never to lose the artistic side of that, which shouldn't feel like work. Yeah. Regardless of what kind of response you get, whether you get any sort of interaction back or whether it's a good video or whatever it is. And I remember telling you this about a year ago, right? When I went back to Boston to visit, I'm like, Caesar, just post your stuff because that's going to make the best version of you. And it's the same way I do with my running. Like even if it's not on the calendar, I'll go out and get a 6-mile run in the morning because it's going to pull out the parts of me that I appreciate the
Yeah.
most. So I think, not forgetting that it's an art form and it's a
Yeah.
form of expression for you is going to be really important,
No, definitely.
as you're getting busier and busier doing work for other people.
Yeah, for me, it's finding that balance, especially because a lot of times I'll go and I'll be doing like personal content, and then I'm like, I get exhausted from it.
Sure.
I got the business side of the things where I'm doing work for other people and editing, so I'm already tired of, let's say, that process, and then to go do it for myself, and then I'm like, all right, I'm not no content creator. I'm not getting paid to do this, so this is kind of a waste of time in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But then I remember, like, all right, your personal brand is kind of the most important thing, especially in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because there was a post that I saw someone talking about it, and it was like, you're a lot of people want to go and build the perfect business and do that and the perfect product, but let's say you put all that work into building the perfect business or the perfect product. Now, who do you have to sell it to? Now you got to go market it and build that up, and that's the whole process. But what if you build your personal brand, have a big audience of people watching your stuff, consuming your content, and then you say, "Oh, guys, hey, I put out this book." You know what I mean? Think about, let's say if you have 100,000 subscribers in the platform,
Mm-hmm.
1% buy it. You know what I mean? That's a good result.
Yeah,
Even
for sure.
1%, 2%, 3%. That's a couple thousand people buying it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You got what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But imagine you had no following and you try to do that. Now it's a lot more work, and you still got to build the brand
Absolutely.
on the other end. So it's like, I feel like now my mind has kind of gone to the process where, like, you got to start building your personal brand
Mm-hmm.
as you're continuing to build your business, but your personal brand has to grow even sometimes a little faster than the business, so that you can attract a certain clientele and attract a bigger audience to see your work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and I think you're doing a good job of that. I think you're doing a great job of that. I love that you shared some familial, family stuff today and things
Yeah.
like that. And I think anybody out there, if I was to give any sort of advice, not that you're asking for, but bro, be you, just
Yeah.
be it. There's an entire community, an entire village of people that are searching you out, that you're answering their questions, that they're looking for that connection and that commonality. I say be you, and the rest of that shit figures itself out. And I know it's easier said than done, but I promise you, from any experience that I've had being amongst people that have been incredibly successful, that most of them will come back and say, when I realized that being myself was the most important thing, is when the most amount of success came to me.
Yeah.
And so that's something that was hard for me to accept initially, is you start chasing, like, okay, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Nah, let's just be us.
Yeah.
And let's share it with the world, and whatever's meant to come back our way will come back our way.
What you said is exactly true. Especially you see it in today's like shift on social media, where authenticity is becoming more, it's, I would say, scarce, but it's also pushing people up amongst the crowd, because people want to gravitate towards that kind of content. Like, there's a lot of people that are dialing back the high production stuff, not worrying so much about the quality, but focusing more on just being themselves in front of the camera, and that's rising to the top. So I can see definitely where the tables are turning, and people are worrying less about like the quality and more about the authenticity, feeling like you're actually connecting with someone, in their content.
I mean, you have to. Let me ask you a question. If you're having, like, a big birthday party for your son, who are you inviting to your to his birthday party? Like, who's coming to that?
Yeah.
The people you know, love, and care about, right? The people that you want in your world. What the fuck are you trying to get 1 million followers for if you're not gonna like 90% of them?
Yeah.
Right. So create your shit in a way that it's going to. I love the thought of somebody seeing one of my posts or something of me talking with, and I use this thing. I say this all the time. I know that I irritate some people's souls.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't need everyone to like me. So I love the idea of an unfollow, but I also love the idea of a committed, the people who want to be part of the village.
Yeah.
So I say, create your content, create whatever it is that you're doing, geared towards one individual. One individual. What do they like? What is their demographic? What are the things that they're interested in? How does it roll in your world?
Yeah.
Speak to that one person and watch your shit take off. If you're bringing good value. But I don't see, and I think you and me might differ a little bit on that, but I would rather have 5,000 or 2,000 true blue,
Yeah. No, that's
VIP followers than
yeah.
to have 10,000 generic. I don't need nobody talking shit on my messages or on my comments.
Yeah.
We're not
And that's gonna come with, that's part of the territory, like as you grow. But I definitely agree where you want to aim towards finding like your core, you know, like your type of demographic. You know what I mean? Because I've found personally that once I start doing a bunch of things that are either trending or I've seen working for other people, that's especially when I start to lose like the love for it and I start to get burnt out. You know what I mean? When I just do what I enjoy, post what I find interesting or what I find fun, that's definitely what, and a lot of times sometimes gets the best like engagement. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I've definitely been trying to shift that, but I 100% agree with you. Like if you can have that and doing this, you know what I mean, and building Forge Collective, and even when we were building First Kind, that was always the goal. Is like do what we like and build a community around it.
Absolutely.
Because there's at the end of the day, there's what 8 billion people. You know what I mean? There's bound to be at least a million that are just like you and like what you like and think like, oh, that's cool, that's what I'm into. You know what I mean? At least. So it's like just stick to it, stick to it, keep going, and then I feel like you'll attract your tribe little by little, which is kind of what we're doing now with this whole podcast, with the Forge Collective community. So
absolutely,
we'll see how we can put it to work.
Keep on making that shit happen. That's how we roll.
For sure. Now to wrap up, you said you're gonna leave some people with some actionable steps. So I want to kind of get.
I didn't
because
say today.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Because you have the foresight of experience through the years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give somebody, let's say, in today's world, I want to say the 18 to let's say 25.
Okay.
Demographic.
Okay.
Some steps that they can do to get out of because I feel like a lot of people are going through the motions, doing a job that they don't like maybe, and trying to figure out, their passion, their goals. They're lost in that world. Think about someone in that cycle.
Okay.
What would you tell them to do in order to get out of there and not to get to the end, but just to get on the path, on the journey?
It's funny you're asking me this. I had this thought earlier today. And yes, I do. I'm cussing a lot today. It's probably the mezcal. I do give a shit, bro. I genuinely give a shit about what I can do to help somebody, especially a younger person. I think, you know why? Because I think of myself at that age. So the first thing, and I want to try to word this the right way because, again, I don't want to get into any sort of generational battle or anything like that. I was thinking about cancel culture.
Okay.
Hear me out for a second. And I thought about that, and I got to thinking, I'm like, well, what kind of influence or impact has that had on society as a whole? And then I said, okay, well, then we've had all these movements. And most of those movements have been about removing or replacing an old way of life, right? You shouldn't be doing shit like that. We shouldn't be working this hard, or we shouldn't be doing this, or you got to pay more, or you got to do this. And a lot of those things are just and legit. They're 100% just. I believe in a lot of them. But there's been a common theme coming up through that. And that's that the older generation, whether it was mine or the one before us, have ruined things, have made things more difficult, have made student loans have become abusive. Everything's become abusive. You can't afford rent. You can't afford mortgages. It's impossible to get into this. It's impossible. And you know what I thought to myself today? I said, in my head, I'm like, yes, it's hard and possibly even harder for you right now.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to give you that. Here's what I want to know, though. Do you think someone's going to come in and rescue you? Do you think someone's going to come tomorrow and knock on your door and grab your hand and say, let's go get it. Let's go make you successful? If you think about any single journey, any single person that you know that has become incredibly successful, they've had to overcome major battles. Sure, it was easier for somebody in the suburbs back when I was coming up that had mom and dad, that had a house, that had whatever they needed to have to go to school, to gain their opportunities to be where they needed to be. But was it easy for the kid growing up in the projects that maybe didn't have a dad?
No.
That maybe didn't know anybody that owned the house? That had, a single mom, that maybe things weren't always great? Maybe not. So you're going to say that that young man 20, 30 years ago that found a way to make something of his life, that he sat around and worried about what the previous generation did to his opportunities? No. You go and do what you got to get done. That's bottom line. Any energy exerted on feeling bad for yourself or on being pissed off about societal situation right now is a complete waste of energy. And I say that because no one is going to fucking rescue you. That's the shittiest part. No one's going to rescue you. No one's coming.
Yeah.
We just gotta, and so and I know that sucks, and I know that's unfair, and I know that that's not cool, and I know that, but at the end of the day, the sooner you get on your path to where you want to go, the sooner that what you believe is impossible today becomes a possibility tomorrow. And that's that's it. I'm not going to bitch and moan anymore about it, but I'm just going to say, and the reason why I'm passionate about it and it pisses me off, because it's to suggest that it was easy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's offensive.
Yeah.
I had 2 kids by the time I was 19 years old. All right, fine.
Yeah, you just got,
pull your fucking
yourself
pants
by
up.
the boots and get it done.
And that's what it is. So that's my thing. Yeah. So your first step is just accept that things are going to be hard. If you want anything in this life that is worth anything at all to be proud of, it is going to be incredibly difficult. And you're going to have to become the person who is able to achieve those goals. So if you're not that person today, you got to do the work to become that person tomorrow. Sure. And becoming something that you're not is probably one of the hardest things in the world to do.
100%. I feel like for me, who's in that path, still trying to get like on it, you know what I mean? I would say, because I don't have it figured out, of course, but the thing that I've told myself, and especially from going from 21 to now 28, I would say eliminate distractions is the first thing you gotta do. You gotta try to get off of social media and become a consumer. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if I look back and add up all the time I've spent on there,
sure,
mindlessly, between not just like Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, but even YouTube, Netflix. Because the thing is too, for a long time I like tricked myself into thinking, oh, I'm being productive because I'm learning. Because I'm on YouTube, I'm learning, I'm picking up knowledge. And don't get me wrong, I've watched a lot of podcasts on success, a lot of, informative stuff that's not just common, like, scrolling, death scrolling. But at the same time, I could have been doing something. Absolutely. In the meantime. I could have been putting what I learned into action. So I would say the first thing I would recommend, and I'm still trying to implement that, is eliminate the distractions that you have with social media, because if not, you're gonna stay on a constant loop, you know what I mean, and you're gonna lose a lot of time, and before you know it, you're gonna look back and say, holy crap, I'm 45, I'm 50, I'm 60.
Take action.
You know what I mean? Take action.
Yeah.
And another thing is, stop trying, especially for me, this is speaking for myself, for anybody who feels like they're in the same boat, but stop trying to like look cool. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there on social media. Don't be afraid to try new things, because that's how you figure out what it is that you're meant to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would say those are the biggest things that have helped me kind of move forward a little bit, and I'm still fighting the battle, trying to implement them and trying to like shift the mindset. But if you can eliminate distractions and stop being afraid of putting yourself out there, being vulnerable and trying new things, I feel like you'll eventually fall into the right path.
Absolutely.
And figure out what it is that you're, on earth to do.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think that, along the lines of what you're saying, I think essentially what you're saying is perfectionism is not an excuse for inaction, right?
Yeah.
Like just because you want to look flavor and you want to look smooth and you want the podcast to be beautiful, perfectionism is not an excuse for inaction. So at the end of the day, being resilient in your approach is going to help you achieve your goal much quicker or even more effectively than sitting around trying to create a master plan that just looks perfect, because it just doesn't exist. Yeah. Despite what you see on social media, it's just not the way it actually works. The way it works is consistency, day in, day out, even when you don't feel like it. And even when you have to even accept those days you don't do anything.
Yeah.
You have to accept those days that it was a bad day. You were a muck, right?
Yeah.
Just get up the next day and keep going and keep going. So
100%.
yeah, for sure.
No, yeah, but with that being said, I think we had some good topics. We got some good
Absolutely.
insight and wisdom from you. So I guess we shall wrap this up. The first thing I want to say, guys, is I really, 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 I can't emphasize enough, appreciate anybody who's watched the first episode, the second episode, who's shared our stuff, because that goes a long way. Those
Much
reposts,
love.
that's
Much
huge. I see all of that stuff. Even the likes, the simple likes and comments, that's big. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for tuning in on this episode. And again, I will always remind you guys, give us a like, give us a comment. Let us know what you want to hear, what you think we can do better. Anything. All feedback is welcome. And yeah, man, shout out to everybody for tuning in.
Much love. Next episode, we're going to have some sponsorships.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm working on a sponsor. You'll be surprised who I pulled together, but
Let's go. All right. Much
check
love.
you guys
mi
out.
gente.
Thank you.
Peace.